Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. Actually, I will have the pleasure to be your host for the day. As you can see, we are indeed embracing the May the 4th today, so we'll try to make Jedis out of you through that boot camp. Actually, the goal, and as you could see by registering, the goal will be today to focus on the sales pitch and the positioning, I would say, in terms of how to articulate that offer towards customers. How can you start the conversations around this topic, as well as all the resources that IBM has fueled for you in order to ensure that end-to-end from the first calls until the moment that you start delivering, you can benefit from the experience that we had gathered so far. And we have full of templates, full of information that we can share for you in order to support you into the sales and the delivery part of these projects. My name is Yanis Nakos, so my role as part of the organization is I'm actually for the last year, EMEA sales leader for process mining and RPA, so the two latest acquisitions that we've done as part of the business automation portfolio at IBM. And I propose to start, so if we look at today's agenda, what you will see is that actually I reshaped a little bit the agenda, but we will be flexible. The point is what I would like really is to make sure that you have access to most of the information that I can present today. Depending on the interactivity, we might actually skip some parts. However, you will get them as part of the slide deck, and the deck is fueled with lots of links actually that I gathered for you, because size speak sometimes of partners might be a little bit hectic to find your way. So really what we try to do through that deck and through the presentation of today is to gather and centralize, I would say, make your life easier, reaching out the right resources for these kind of topics and how to articulate them towards the customers, right? So we'll be starting with what is process mining, how does that fit in as part of the IBM strategy. Then we'll cover functionally what it does, how does that work. Then we'll go through a set of resources that I have ready for you, and then we'll look quickly at what is the size of the market, but I will be introducing the very reason why we are believing so far so hard actually into mining, and why you should too. And we will have a quick break. Then we'll go for a demo, and then we'll go through several use cases. So the point of the use cases is really about, depending on what the customer might have or not, depending on your area of expertise, because actually mining can be interesting to lots of different partners of IBM nowadays. I will try to go through that as well. And eventually we have several use cases that we can go for, several types of customers which are the typical ones and the typical kind of use cases that you might think of. However, we have lots of other types of possibilities actually to articulate and to start digging into the IBM portfolio through and around the process mining discussion. So we will go quickly around the process, the pricing model as well. Then we'll dig into the grab and go kit that we have ready for you. I don't know if some of you have already had the chance to look at it, but I have embedded it as part of that deck as well. So we will not go through every single page of it, but I just want to make sure that it's articulated and presented to you in a way that you can find your way, and that you can make sure that actually you can rely on it for whatever you might need into a sales cycle around process mining. Then actually we will go through who can help you and Q&A. Now for the Q&A, because for most of the day I will be actually monitoring that on my own. Still, the first hour will have for sure some of our colleagues actually looking around. Yet what I propose actually is that just before break and the closing of the session, I will take back the chat. So I will invite you to send your questions through the chat, and we'll take these ones throughout during the break or just before the break. and just before the closing of the session, and I will invite you as well to be vocal at that time, if that is okay for you. Okay, so without further notice, let's go. So here I'm speaking also about RPA because into the way that we actually made these acquisitions, the very reasons why and how do they fit for RPA and mining as part of the portfolio. It's quite important here to understand why we are actually doing what we're doing, and as well understand that they have a pretty peculiar positioning into the IBM strategy. So you will see just in a second the very reasons why. So if we look at the portfolio from what IBM calls the IBM automation platform standpoint, there we go. You will see that we have, in terms of automation, we have 4 cloud packs articulated today in our strategy. Okay, so these four cloud packs are assemblies, platforms, if you will, of products which are fitting to specific topics and the way that we go to the market, the kind of people that we go after and speak to, and they're articulated throughout these 4 topics. So the first one is the business automation one, so really focusing about the processes of the customers, and in that sense you can really see the business actually being the focus here. However, IT is a business as well, right? So and that is the very reason why I will be introducing in a second the fact that RPA and mining are across the different cloud packs that you see here. Now, if you look at the rest of the cloud packs, we are mostly addressing the IT side of things, I would say, in different perspectives. First one is about making sure that the IT ops at the customer are rolling, and that everything is actually up and running for the people actually to work with. Therefore, we automate and we use AI as part of that in terms of ensuring that we can provision extremely fast the environments, that everything is going fast enough, that we prevent systems from falling, etc., etc. Now, the cloud pack for integration is more about the development and the modernization side of things. So here we address less, I would say, the IT systems people, but more the developers. And then the last one is actually the one that we refer to internally about the cloud pack for telco, because the very goal of it is really to address very big organizations being international and having quite complex networking needs. So here we will come and address this, as well as actually the 5G spread out and network organization and stuff like that for telcos. So if you look at this, you will see that we have specific capabilities actually as part of every one of them. We will be zooming a little bit more today on the cloud pack for business automations. However, the message on this slide is that you have really a set of foundational capabilities here, which we call the automation foundation, and all that is delivered on top of the Red Hat OpenShift layer. So that is also part of the licenses, if you want, of every single one of the cloud packs. But functionally speaking, what is interesting is that you will find Watson services being infused in every single one of them, etc. And you will see 2 products, full-fledged products, being part of that, which are RPA and mining. And why? It's because we believe that actually setting up a chatbot, setting up a bot which can automate whatever happens on the screen and actually gimmick an operator, ensuring that we can review constantly the processes through which we are operating, and that can be applicable, as I said previously, to business people as well as to ITers, because IT again is a business. Setting up an environment, rolling out a new environment into production in a new release, etc. All that goes through specific steps that you undertake, some of them being scripted, some of them not, all of them taking time. And you might want actually to ensure that if there are pitfalls, you can identify them. That's exactly what mining does here. So another very quick message and I realized that I need to update that with the laser squadrons. But the thing is, one of the messages that I want to give is that as part of the different cloud packs that I just touched, you see one genetic marker which is everywhere, which is really AI. So we infused really AI in a consumable way into every single one of these cloud packs. When I'm referring to consumable way, it's because it's really more related now to out-of-the-box AI that you can use right away without having to do nothing on it, as part of the everyday usages of the components as part of the cloud packs, or through configuration. So it's really we are really trying to take some distance, I would say, of with the AI of 5 years ago, where you had to have very highly skilled analysts actually to work with it and build up your own models, etc. Here we are delivering the models in a consumable way as part of the products right away, right? So again, now zooming into the Cloud Pack for Business Automation, AI is centric. So we have a data lake which gathers the data streams of every single one of the different capabilities, the different sub products, I would say, of the platform. Specific topic here is the fact that we are investing an awful amount of money into low code and no code. So turning actually the historical topic of addressing our components towards the developers of this world, going more and more the last 5 years into a low code, zero code kind of approach, where business analysts actually are now the target, I would say, of our strategy. Therefore, what you will see is that you have process mining, RPA again, part of that. RPA in a particular way, because RPA at IBM is not only about, again, gimmicking people clicking on screens, it's also embeds actually the ability to deliver chatbots as well, that most of the other engines on the market would actually require a third-party component for. And in the latest release, you also get the NLP that we had with Watson chatbot, meaning that with one single product you can now deliver also chatbots with the same comprehension of the languages of the Watson chatbot actually that we have. So open APIs, every single one of these components is built to communicate with the outside world, serving it as well. So actually we expose APIs as well, and we consume APIs in a common ways. And due to the fact that we are delivering the cloud packs on top of the Red Hat OpenShift layer, which is infused into the license, you get, of course, the ability to deploy all that into a multi-cloud and SaaS environment. Okay, now everyone is speaking about hyperautomation nowadays. How does that fit, and how do we actually deliver the pitch around hyperautomation? In orange, you will see here more or less what is the prescription, I would say the content that Gartner is defining through the hyperautomation notion. So for Gartner, if you take AI, you actually give it and orchestrate AI with workflow, and you benefit in that orchestration from AI, which gives you the ability then to trigger bots in a particular way, but which again also can consume AI, etc., etc. So workflow here is about orchestrating the work towards business users and actually bots, so virtual agents, virtual employees, right? So sometimes you will send to a virtual employee, sometimes you will send to a physical one. However, if you look in blue, this is what you get fueled from IBM into the Cloud Pack on top of this very definition. And we really believe that it's extremely difficult nowadays to go and speak about hyperautomation without capturing the inbound streams of information into your organization, without making sure that you can extract the relevant set of information that you can type and actually judge what kind of information it is automatically, etc., like we do with cognitive capture. It's very difficult to ensure that from a GDPR perspective, you are compliant and you secure the access to the information, who have seen what or who tried actually to see what at what time, without having a proper and secure content management system in the back. How do you ensure that you don't get to 2,000-3,000 lines into a bot when you have to write if then else, if then else, if then else, and all the business logic hidden sometimes in workflow, sometimes into RPA, sometimes in custom code. I mean, that's exactly where we are using the decision engine that we have, the business rule that we have as part of the platform, in order to ensure that this is no longer maintained by IT people, but because we speak about business rules, these and the logic actually of these applications related to business rules should be in the hands of business, right? So how do you extract the logic of your different bots and put it into the hands of the people who actually make the rules? Eventually delivering all that throughout here the operational intelligence that we have in order to ensure that with one single view you can see the dashboards and feed through these dashboards and the data lying beneath the process mining feature that then can help you eventually see where and in what components you have issues and how can you remediate to these issues. Okay, so now let's dig into very quickly the Cloud Pak itself. From a technical from a functional standpoint, what you will see again is that slide with again RPA and process mining being there. One remark very quickly on this is that so far we were really delivering with these components here mostly the IT authors, so the developers, in fact. And that is what we call the core automation at IBM. Now, on top of that, you will see here in lighter blue the acronyms of the low-code versions of these capabilities. So for every one of these traditional, I would say, core automation, full-fledged capabilities, which were meant initially mainly to be articulated in the hands of ITers, of developers, what we are doing is that we, in the last 5 years, we have developed and created actually lighter flavors of these, if you want, which are quickly set up, quickly maintained, and where you in a few hours of YouTube you can start actually building up your applications by mean of low code, meaning configuration mostly, and no real full-fledged code. Okay, so that is the kind of I mean the message here is that you can really find these capabilities. Sometimes I mean we get the feedback from BPs that yeah, but your platform is too complex, it's too broad, etc. Now, the good thing with that license is that in one single license you get all that. And if we had that call like 2 years ago, the part of RPA and mining wouldn't be here. So one single license that you sell to the customer gives you the ability at some point, and if we speak about governmental agencies and how they procure, they will at some point release a tender. Once they buy it, by having here the Cloud Pak strategy where we fit additional capabilities through time. That means also that with one single contract over 4 years, you have the ability all of a sudden to come and speak about additional kind of topics that you didn't have like 5 years ago. So here we expand actually functionally the range of the Cloud Paks, but the good point on that is that you are not required actually to expose everything. You are not required to install everything. You just have the ability into the menu of the day to action to start actually using the ones which are really fitting into the picture of the customer, right? So here again, it's a menu. Depending on what you fancy and what the customer wants today, you can just go and activate the right amount of CPU licenses just to fit their needs. Another point is that it's a floating license, so I can be starting actually, and that is one of the messages that we are delivering process mining on the market too, is that process mining is about diagnostics. Okay, we will see that in a second. But the point is, here with the diagnosis, you will be able to review what the process is about, but then Eventually, it's all depending on how you set that up at the customer. You could just say, right, now I have a vision on what is wrong. Now I want to articulate the solution for that. And for the solution, I might be using decisions, I might be using workflow, I might be using RPA. So if you look in a sequence of events, you could just think for yourself that actually process mining is not costing anything. Because the very reality is that eventually you can start making the diagnosis of what's going wrong and then reuse these licenses that you no longer use for some period of time into the solution, to the cure actually for the diagnosis, right? So again, it's just some quick elements on where we fit into that strategy. And then let's start looking quickly onto what is the pitch around process mining. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay, so just I'm just taking the chat actually very quickly here at this time. So ADP is the life flavor of DataCap, WPS for BAW, etc. Yes. So the whole idea is what is the trigger to go from light to heavy? So the point is about capabilities. What we try to do with the low-code versions currently is to deliver, I would say, the 80% of the use cases with 20% of the complexity. So that's really what we try to do. Now, there will be use cases where if the customer really wants to go and dig into one fits all, so a strategic component, it's not about one application, it's about something that they will be reusing across departments for a longer transformational track, you'd rather go for evaluating first, I would say, the full-fledged version, because these are meant to be used for any kind of use case. However, if the budget is lower, if the time to market is extremely under pressure, etc., you might be willing really to look at the equivalent and maybe go for an MVP or a POC with a proof of concept actually with the low-code flavors in order to see. But it's really depending on at the end also who will be setting up the application and maintaining it. So depending on the organizations and the maturity of them, in some cases you have the business people being involved with a cohort of analysts actually there to support these applications and maintain them. On the other side, you might just have business users, and therefore IT is doing everything. So then you would actually speak to ITers and therefore developers. So it's really depending on at the end about the context on from which the business case is built on, and who will be setting up the environment. Eventually, what we see is more and more a blending, I would say, of some components that we take into the low-code stack, and some of them being taken into the full-fledged, depending on the capabilities and the use case. And that is really something that we can review on a case-by-case vision with the support of our tech sellers, actually, which support you locally or at European level. Okay, so I just hope that I addressed your question, Florian. Now, let's dig into process mining. So you are here, as we said previously. Lots of messages here, and what I really want to start with is, why are we today around this call? It's because there is lots to be done with process mining. It's not just sexy and interesting. It's actually attractive. Why? Because of this message here. The very fact is that it's a huge market. Okay, depending on who you speak to, you will get different value, of course, here, ranging from 500 million to 600 and something. But the point is, you can see that the progression is huge. I mean, going from this to this figure in just about the next, I would say, 5 years is crazy. And you will not find nowadays easily in a post-COVID situation lots of investments that can be done, delivering a 50% increase into the demand year over year. Okay, so mining is probably the most appealing topic on the IBM range nowadays. And again, you have several hooks to look at it. We will see that in a second. But the market is big, and we don't have enough players actually being able to articulate it. Now, as you can see also with the with the increase of demand for digital in the last few months with the COVID, COVID was probably the most problematic thing, to say the least, which happened to humanity in the recent history. But the point is that you can also think that from a business standpoint, what happened is that more or less in less than 1 year, we have increased the adoption of automation in a level that we should have, which should have taken the previous evolution, which was kind of steady, as you can see here. We ranged to a level of 10 years of increase in adoption of digital in just about a year. Okay, so this is huge, of course, and that says one thing. There is a full market which was at some point becoming, I would say, full of products, full of projects ongoing, etc. Yet kind of mature. And the opportunity for new kind of topics was pretty low. And here what we are seeing is that out of a sudden, by having in a way or another to operate in a digital way, because else you just died in the last 2 years. The fact is that lots of opportunities are now ranging into reviewing the processes from the past. So initially, what companies has done the last 2 years and a half was to ensure that they could operate the next day. They tried to digitalize extremely fast and craft actually solutions into problematic processes. Now, what they realize is that, and sorry for the expression, but it's really crap in, crap out, right? So if you just take something without reviewing the process and you try to implement it in a problematic way as it was before in an analog world, but with a digital way, you will not get any benefit. And actually, the ones doing it currently are taking chunks of your market. So the very thing here and the very message is that the fact, and you will see that in the next slide as well, throughout the size of the market. The point is that we see lots of traction from big companies now that they are a little bit less concerned, I would say, with the COVID day by day, that they want to take back the time and use the digital means that they've set up the last 2 years in order to review the processes and ensure that they can deliver the best experience to their audience, because it's really about that. I mean, another topic which is important here in the infusion and the blending of one another in terms of RPA and mining is that the strategy. And it's not only ours, you will see that with other players as well now articulating that kind of strategy. Is really about taking mining and creating bots. So going from the diagnosis to the cure right away. And we will see in a second how we do that. But process mining is occurs at various levels, and one of these levels allows to review what happens on the screen in the same way that you would do recording with RPA, in fact. So therefore, we have converged these technologies at IBM, and we are building actually from ground up a new smart recorder, which will be infused in the next release of both RPA and mining, and which will allow with one single click to record what's going on and to create a bot at the end of the analysis, in fact. So that's where we're going. Now, another element as well on the why, it's because in terms of IBM, we are recognized, as you could see previously, we are recognized for AI, right? So it's important that we capitalize on the footprint that we have with AI, the footprint that we have also with data management in the data and AI range of products of IBM, in order to leverage these components, and that serves also process mining, and we will see in a second why. Now, the message with mining is this. So it's really about 70% of the efforts into setting up a digital process happen before you start writing the first line of code for your automation. So the thing is, traditionally, and I'm speaking from your shoes because I was actually a consultant for about 20 years. I was P&L owner into these kind of businesses at Xerox, Fujitsu, CSC, and as part of these missions, the struggle most of the time for whoever in the call has had to implement BPM projects or case management projects, it's all the time that you take into analysis. So building up the blueprint and ensuring that everybody agrees actually with that blueprint takes no full amount of time. And honestly, for complex processes, it takes usually up to 6 months. So I would say 3 to 6 months is probably what you are looking at. Now, what does mining? In one single sentence, mining is there to turn months of analysis into weeks. So that's exactly what we do. What you would usually do with a traditional way of speaking to 5 people, 5 reps of one department, getting with them the comprehension of what is the standard process and not their last problem of the day, which they make a rule of, etc., etc. Try to be objective on that is extremely complicated and sometimes takes no full amount of time. So you will have to go through interviews, one-to-one interviews, workshops, and all that. Here, what mining does is taking down all the subjectivity that you might have by speaking to people and make sure that you go through one single reality, which is what they really do, not what they think they do. Okay? And how do we do that? It's by discovering the reality because we connect to the systems which today support their processes. So we will go and gather the logs of the current system. So that can be CRM, that can be anything like an ERP, any application that they would have developed custom as well, which produces logs. And in fact, we need only 3 data to start with. These data is, the data set is pretty cheap. It's a timestamp. Without knowing when something occurs, it's quite difficult. So the timestamp for the start of an activity, the name of that activity, what is the activity about, and then the last element is who did it, in order to make sure that I can spot the department, I can spot the role of who did what during that process. Based on these 3 information, I can start actually analyzing using the AI which lies beneath and building up the model. So we will create, if you want, the BPMN view of the process. We generate the BPMN view right away by analyzing the logs. Okay. Once this is done, that is the discovery. Then we will be able to play with what-if scenarios, because the system will actually show where you have issues, and you will be able then to review what is what are the source the source causes or the root causes of the problem. Okay, so based on that, once you have identified these root causes, you can very quickly say, okay, now here I have someone actually clicking on a system to approve that step. It does that amongst 10 other things. So of course the delay might be pretty big, but if you look at the amount of transactions that is becoming, or that department is becoming the bottleneck of over a period of 1 year, that can be actually a huge impact on the rest of the chain of events. So what if I put here a rule? A rule could do that automatically, could turn the 1 hour delay that I have currently into like milliseconds. And therefore, if I apply that into the model, what is the effect of this? Obviously, you will have one improvement on that step, but sometimes, and that is important also to understand, is that if you don't have extremely strong simulation capabilities, the very problem which might occur is that by resolving what you think is a problem currently might create an awful amount of of butterfly effect in the back, because sometimes the fact of having one part of the process which is actually containing somehow the process at some period, which will allow for the rest of the chain to do and perform their work as they are organized currently. But if you out of a sudden open the dam, and out of a sudden everything flows lots quicker, the side effect might be that some departments somewhere could be really struggling doing their job, and therefore you would have other KPIs being impacted. So it's important when you go for a transformational track, when you speak with the customer about modernizing their environment, their business environment, and their processes, it's important to be able not only to discover what the real process is about, not the designs that they have in mind from the last 5 years in their ISO map, but the reality of it, and then spot the issues, but also try to have a good understanding on what should be the priorities. And the priorities can be out of 3 problematic steps into the process. I will start with this one, which doesn't affect the rest of the chain, then the second one in order to make sure that the rest of the chain is ready, and then I will go for the last one, which actually sequentially is the first one maybe into the process. So it's important actually to have that simulation capability in order to see what is the effect of resolving or doing what we think is resolving the situation. Okay, and that simulation capability is what we call the digital twin. If you ever heard about that terminology, digital twin is really about, I have enough data on how I perform my everyday task, on how my organization is operating, in order to replay actually the sequence of events for a week, a month, a year, but by tuning the parameters and see what the effect is. And based on that, I can also refine, and actually that's why, that is the second element why I think that process mining is really paying for itself. It's because eventually you will be able to create the roadmap with your customer, not for one single project, but like for projects and projects to come, because improvement on processes is an iterational approach, where if you look at Six Sigma, that's exactly what they do, is try to tend and get closer and closer to zero defects onto a process, and therefore you cannot do that at once. You need to come again and again. So actually diagnosing what the problem is, evaluating what the cost of the problem is, being able to articulate what the solution will bring in terms of return on investment, sells for itself. Okay, that is one element. And then the other element is that by doing these simulations and also looping back after implementing the solutions on, yes, I realized the benefits that I had in mind, or I went beyond or potentially not reached them, but let's see why, etc., gives you the ability really to manage that discussion with the customer from a strategic standpoint, and not only from a delivery standpoint for a single project that they came and contacted you with. Okay, so it's really climbing the food chain, I would say, and therefore using that virtual cycle of discovering, simulation, and monitoring then what is the impact of that solution, in order to make sure that you can go through iterations and ensure to reach the targets of the customer. Now, this is a slide that I assembled as a one-slider, which might seem, of course, extremely complex, but it's just to give one single page to the customers, explaining a little bit what are the resources that you can have at your disposal in the customer as well. Now, one element here, if we start with that part, that is a common question that I'm getting all the time, is where does mining fit into what I'm doing already with the Cloud Pack, or I have already BPM, guys, I don't need that. I mean, I can design my processes. Why should I go and invest into process mining? Why? Because first, process mining will be able here to support you into 2 steps actually of your of your common use cases with process improvement. The process discovery, of course, because it will be able to do the design for you. It will allow you visually extremely fast to spot and to surface elements that you would never discover in another way. So doing the process analysis, helping out therefore identifying the opportunities for process reengineering. Where should we potentially change that process and not only put the garbage that we had previously into a new system. And it will also document the process for you. Okay, so because visually it will create, in fact, lots of KPIs and lots of designs which allow you to document what you're doing. Now, on the other side, at the end, it will serve also as a monitoring and an insight engine for the improvements that you've set up. Okay, so again, it's everything from helping out delivering this step, supporting actually the business process management part, because it creates the design, but it also hooks opportunities for RPA and for business rules. So actually, we are delivering the blueprints for RPA. In the next release, we'll create actually the bot itself right away, but we are also creating business rules. So as we will see in a second, what we are able to do through the process discovery part is actually create the business rules right away. Now, is that credible to work with IBM? These are actually elements of the latest reports. Quadrant is still to release this one, so I'm waiting for it to come officially. We got the draft so far, so I'm sharing it already for you. But the thing is here, if you look at the most advanced feature of process mining, which is, as we said previously, the simulation part, so the digital twin, actually IBM, on the technology side of things, we are the most advanced, and just behind us is Signavio. So are we credible? Again, I believe that if you look at the market nowadays into process mining, you will see that technically speaking, we are really top notch. So don't be shy. Because the message here on this one is that at more than 90% of the cases, when we are first at a customer exposing the value of process mining, we are actually winning the deals. The only cases where we lose is if we let actually other ones come into play before us, serving their own flavor of the reality, and therefore starting up in the shadow, building up POCs, proof of concept, which lead eventually to specific RFPs, which of course will have already a specific flavor, right? But if we are the first ones, based on what we are able to do and the capabilities of the product, we are really signing like in 90% of the cases. Now, the second one here, it's quite interesting as well, because if you look at, and that is common ground as well, like, yeah, but, you know, Gartner is claiming that Celonis is better, or that is better, etc., etc. Okay. Now, one of the elements which is important, and that's why we are really monitoring extremely closely G2, the G2 grids, is because this is voice of the customer. Okay, these are revamped every now and then. It's constantly updated by the feedback of the customers. Actually, this one is active. When you click on the link, you will get the full report in the back. But based on the voice of the customers, that is Celonis. That is where we are. Celonis does mostly, their history is about process mining. Ours is not yet. The thing is, if you look at this, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. Now, yes, but I would like to make some demos to towards the customers. I would like to, in my first meeting as a sales, expose already what it is, etc., etc. I built up this channel on YouTube. That is also an active link. You will click on it. It will serve you the page where I'm gathering video demos that we are building up to support you in different languages. Currently, most of them are in French and English. We will be adding up, I am receiving actually Spanish ones this week, and more languages will come. But the thing is, this is really a hub of of multimedia assets that you can be reusing and embedding as part of your own presentations, and where we'll be maintaining for every single new version which comes after the video demos that range from 5 minutes to up to 45 really break down detailed versions of how actually we set that up. And that is something that we've been asked to do in the last 6 months throughout lots of RFPs that we gathered. Customers really would like a 45 to 60 minutes demo detailed, so therefore we build that up for you. Okay. However, you will see later in the slides that we also deliver for the same videos, the assets and the environments for you that you can provision in under a few minutes to be able with your own staff to replay that. And that will be also the topic of the next sessions that we have in the bootcamp. It will be really about ensuring that you guys are able to articulate not only the sales pitch, but also be able to make the demos for yourself, and therefore being enabled to start up with process mining in terms of POCs and delivery. Okay. Now that breaks down into the different steps of what we are doing. So here you have the data collection. I'm putting that as a part 0 here. Why? Because it's crucial to ensure that you gather the right data. Okay, we can have the best AI in the world behind that engine. If you don't have at least these 3 data that I spoke about previously, the start timestamp, the designation for the event, and who did it, it's very difficult for us, of course, to deliver anything. However, the more you add details for a specific transaction on the log, the more accurate the design will be, and the more accurate the diagnosis will be, of course. Okay, so data source plugin into CRMs, ERP, SECs, etc., is the first step. We extract the data, and then the second element, but we will come back on that later on, is that you can also do, and that is the second level, I would say, of the 3 levels that I spoke about with mining. First is process mining. I'm designing the process. Second is I'm digging into the task level, so that is what we call task mining, and that is by recording, installing actually an agent into the machine of the specific role that you are analyzing, or the specific department which is hosting the process that you are analyzing. And then what we will be doing is reviewing in real life what are the clicks, where do they, how do they operate actually behind the screen onto rendering that specific task as part of the overall process. So based on that, and that's what I said previously, initially what we are doing currently is that we are delivering a script of a kind of analysis, I would say, in the set of what is performed as a guidance for implementing RPA. The next wave is we will be generating the bot itself. Now, once I have the data based on for initially the first wave for process mining, and then in a second wave with task mining correlating into the tasks of the process, what I will be doing actually is here jumping into looking at my process from different angles. And what it does exactly, and we will see that in the next slides quickly, what the process mining is fantastic at is delivering color codes which give you a visual impression on specific items. And these dimensions, I would say, these prisms that we are using, is looking at the compliance. So am I compliant with my process compared to my reference model? So whenever I start importing actually my data, the second thing that I can put into the screen will be pushing the BPMN model of my process if I have it already. And then we will be matching the reality from the logs and the design which is coming from the BPMN model. Sorry, and we will be seeing then when does that overlap, and when do I have a delta? When do I operate outside of that model? Therefore, I can very quickly see if actually it's an exception, it's okay. So if I have a rather low level of exceptions, it's okay. If I have a big one, and if my proportion, I would say, goes beyond 10-20% of exceptions, probably that my model is not accurate anymore. And therefore, the process owners should really think about maybe improving the design and adding up some additional steps for the reality of what it is nowadays. Okay, so that is compliance. Time, we will be able to show right away what is the consumption of time which is taken per step, and the darker, the more iterations you have. And then eventually what you will have as well is the rework. So how many times am I looping through a specific step before being able to go to the next step? Therefore, what is, if you want another way to express it, is what are the blocking factors of my process? What are the blocking steps of my process? Okay, so you can really, based on these elements, depending on who you speak to the process owner, if it's that to auditors, internal or external auditors of the process, you might look at the compliance more accurately, more details. If you're really into a track of improving the process and ensuring that you digitalizing in the most efficient way, cost, time, and rework, so therefore efficiency view would be extremely important, of course. Okay, then I'm analyzing what's going on. Now I will have to define the to be. So until here, I'm still into the as is phase, and there we kick the simulation capability, which is playing with the what if scenarios. And yes, if here I'm putting a but, I'm expecting actually this step to happen 24/7 under this amount of time. Let's see, if I'm reaching only half of them into this amount of time, what is the positive impact or negative impact on the rest of the chain? If there is negative impact, maybe I need to look at another element of the process to be first reinforced before going to change that one, etc. etc. Okay, and then I will also, through that analysis, come into, and as you can see here, sometimes it goes left, sometimes it goes right. That means that if I have at some point a decision branch, I have a rule probably which sends sometimes left, sometimes right. So what the system will also do is analyze the data which is actually sent throughout the transactions, of course, and that's where I said previously that the more information I have, the best it is, because if I have the data which I can analyze, I can potentially discover what are the elements which makes me go left or right. Okay, and if I can spot these, I can also design the rule. So we can create, actually, we have, that is the last element, I would say, of the analysis that I was referring to. That's the third layer of mining, which is the rules mining that we have the product being fueled with. Okay, now, I can define my rules. I can define where I have reworks. If I have reworks, potentially I will look at automating that with bots. But sometimes I will need also to revamp the process, and therefore I will need additional potentially capabilities from the cloud pack. Okay, so if I'm in a real development and modernization track, you might need additional licenses of the Cloud Pack for integration components potentially, etc., etc. Okay, so the story is, while process mining is paying for itself by helping you building up the business cases for automation projects, it also serves as the seller, I would say, to the rest of the capabilities that you master already. Okay, so it's a new topic which eventually will drive an acceleration on new use cases for the rollout of the capabilities that you know already from the Cloud Pack. Okay. Now, in terms of timing, okay, just give me a sec. So we are reaching actually the point of the break. If you are okay, I will just take 5 more minutes to actually just go very quickly rolling out what you will see into the slide deck to support you. These are probably slides that you have that you have already into or seen already into our decks. But the point is, I would say that I mean, I try to make your life easier, okay? We have lots of different slide decks, and what I tried here to assemble through this one is a multiple, I mean, a pretty big range of slides, but because they serve different kind of topics as part of your organization. Some of them will be about helping you selling that either to your organization internally for adoption, either to the customers. So that is what these next slides are about. And then there are some which are making your life easier in terms of, getting right away into the right resources. How do I get trained internally, and what are the badges or the certification that I can pass, and all these kind of things that potentially might be less of interest to some customers, even though nowadays they also ask very much for trainings themselves and to be independent as quickly as possible, which then your role is changing somehow into facilitating their life into building up a center of excellence. Okay, so in any case, what you will get here is the steps that Lee will be demonstrating in just a minute with the demo, the functional demo that we have. I will therefore not go through every single one of them because I will be stealing actually the show, which is not the aim. But I just want to roll through them very quickly so you can see the different dimensions. You can show and give a flavor already of what does that do exactly, and eventually to close on the what is the size of the market just before the demo. Here you got already a flavor, okay, previously onto the size of the market. Here is the size of the market for the US, but it's pretty representative. So you can see that if you look back, or sorry for that, if you look back into who was or where we were already with that market in 18, where it was really at the first steps, I would say, the first baby steps of that market. Look at the order of magnitude of what we are reaching from this to this in the next 5 years. I mean, the question for today, and the only one that you need to think for yourself and for your organization is, do I want a chunk of this, and do I want actually to use that as an accelerator to the capabilities that I know already of, and that sometimes are more complex to go and sell in the market, just because everybody has already more or less a story on PPM, etc. Right? So here it really helps you accelerating your business on that. And if you, again, by clicking on this, you will be sent to the study. But the key messages, again, are these ones. Okay, so more or less what you will see is a CAGR of 50% year over year until 2028. Which is huge and exponential, as you could see. The elements which make our life actually easier into selling this is on one side, we are in a world which is more and more regulated. Everything is controlled. We have, in reality, less and less space for, I would say, for not being tracked. And therefore, the know your customer kind of situation is all about serving the customers eventually by understanding the relationship that I have with them, where things are hanging, and how can I deliver actually the smoothest experience by engaging my organization with theirs. So auditing is one thing. The adoption of cloud is also, because out of a sudden people realized that by going digital they had to have a strong backbone. Now that they've done that move, physically speaking, they are quicker to go and implement new projects, therefore. And through that allows also for business people to start articulating more demands, okay? And therefore, yeah, of course, through what we've seen with COVID, digital transformation initiatives are everywhere. really. So BPM is of course a key element, but if you need to design your processes or redesign your processes through BPM, that is just a chunk of actually what the customer is asking. What they would like is first to have a thorough diagnosis on what makes sense actually to put the next euro or the next dollar in the basket for. Okay, so all that said, and sorry for if it was too fast. Thank you, Dag, for your good words. So here it's the time for the break. I give you 5 minutes sanitary break, and let's catch up, I would say, at 11:05 in order to start for the best part of it, which is actually my partner in crime, Lee, who will take over with a functional demo. Thank you very much for now. So I will have the pleasure to introduce you to my partner in crime that I was offline telling him actually how important he is to me. So I hope it will become to you as well in the next foreseeable future. Lee actually is one of our tech sellers and probably one of the best in this world about process mining, and not only from IBM, I would say. So you will see how pleasurable it is to get a demo with him, and I really hope that it will make you think about inviting him on next sessions with customers as soon as possible. So without further notice, thank you very much, Lee, for joining us today. And I would say that, yeah, you are the next Jedi in the house, so take over.
Thanks, Yanis, and thanks for the intro. It's always nice to be introduced like that. If you can unshare your screen, and then I can share my desktop.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm assuming you can now see my desktop.
I do. So I guess the rest of the folks as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so hi everyone. Yeah, as Yanis introduced, my name's Lee. I support Yanis across across the region in EMEA and worldwide with process mining. What I'm going to show you today is the bank account closure demo, and the reason I think this is a good one actually is because not just is it in an area that we're seeing quite a lot of prevalence in process mining in the financial sector, but also because it covers two parts of a really good prerequisite, which is one, a regulatory, and two, cost saving. So what you're looking at actually is the bank account closure process for one of IBM's longest standing customers. In fact, it was a long standing customer with IBM before IBM purchased the capability. It's a large privately owned bank. In fact, it's the largest privately owned bank in Italy. And they had two challenges, right? They were doing 60,000 bank account closures a year, and they knew they were expensive, but they weren't sure where. And also, I don't know if you know, but in Europe, there is a deadline, a regulation that says that if you ask your bank to close the account, they have to close it within 12 days. Now, they knew they were breaching that, but again, they weren't sure where they were breaching. So they used process mining to identify these two. They were their primary drivers. So what you're actually looking at is their bank account closure process, and it's presented very, very lean inside of process mining. So you can see boxes and lines as you would expect. And down the right-hand side here, you can see this legend. So the darker the legend, then it is the more tasks that are executed, and the thicker and the darker the lines, the more exchanges or paths there are between those activities. So even before you do anything, you can kind of see what the main process flow is through here just by following the dark colors and the dark lines. Now, the first thing we look at when we get this process is looking at what we call case variant analysis. Now, we've all been in meetings with clients, and we've sat down and we've done these workshops on the whiteboard where we put post-it notes on and draw lines between them, and that's a great way to start with the process analysis. But one thing that doesn't do is enable you to work out all the different flows. In fact, it's impossible to do flow analysis on a whiteboard, and that's what process mining brings straight to the table. So you can see here it's identified 266 variants through this process. You can see here 28.6% of those, nearly a third of those, are where no letter came in. In other words, the client walked into the bank and said, I'd like to close my account. You can see here there are, let me just move myself over here. You can see there are 26% of cases, so almost a third again, and that is where the bank decided to close this account. And if we scroll down, you can see 4.3%. This is where actually they sent a letter to the bank saying, please close my account, right? Now, what's immediate is you can see with these 66% of cases almost that they're all in excess of this 12-day deadline. So instantly you can see that, okay, the bank knew that it was breaching the 12-day, but actually it's more important. It's actually breaching it in some of its primary use cases for closing the account, and it's quite in excess. Now, as you know, these lead to regulatory fines, so this is a big focus area. Now, the second thing that's done automatically is the capability to compare your derived process with a modeled process. So, what you can do is you can take a BPMN compliant process, XPDL process from another application, either within the IBM ecosystem or outside, and you can do a direct comparison with the process. So here you can see what we've actually identified is there's another legend now. Any tasks that are being done that should not be being done are red. As we can see, there are two. And any tasks that should be being done but are not would show as yellow, but there are none in this process. And again, it's a really, really good highlight of being able to see, okay, how compliant are you with this, this actual core process? So you can see there are two tasks: back office adjustment requested, clearly shouldn't be being done. Here's the impact. It's making a big impact to the time. Pending request for acquittance of heirs should be not being done, making a significant impact. But here is something that's equally important, and this is this BO service closure to BO service closure. It's showing actually the fact that it's going back on itself. So somewhere here, it's looping inside of this. Now that could be an activity due to rework, or it could be due to accuracy of the data entry, etc. But we're not sure. In any case, it's having a significant impact to this 41 days on this this overall deadline. So I think that could be an area of focus for us to look at in a second. So the next way that you can look at this from a high level perspective is actually on the left hand side, you can start changing the skin. So what you can do here, we can see the frequency one. So here we can see all the different flows through. We can choose average duration. And now what you're looking at is the same lean process flow, but now you can see the legend has changed. The darker the color is the longer the task takes, and the thicker the line, the longer the delay between these activities. So you can actually see here that, quite rightly, we'd already highlighted that BO service closure is an area of interest because there's rework, but not just that, it's actually the longest task in this process. It's taking a very, very long time to do. Just give you a quick introduction to some of the numbers that you're looking at so you're aware of these. For those familiar with BPM systems, this is if work is delivered to a queue, this would be the queue number. So here we can see average because we've chosen average over here. This is average queue depth against the maximum queue depth. These are the unique resources that are doing this work out of a possible 20 unique resources. And then on the side here, we have average wait time and maximum wait time. Now, I'll show you in a second, but ultimately, this is the average wait time from authorization requested to BO service closure, 1 hour. But there could be lots of different ways into this task. And this is where this average wait time is. So average of all connections into this task is 7 hours. And you can see there's clearly some with a massive 2,900 hours of wait time coming in. And the final time is this one, which is the average execution time for this activity. Now, it's all well and good being able to see that, but you need to have some kind of business context to this. And what you can do in process mining is, in the settings, is you can apply some KPIs. So here we can see a number of KPI capabilities. We have case duration KPIs, and you have here activity duration KPIs. So you can see you can have a default, or you can actually assign specific KPIs for those activities. And once they're assigned, in the top left-hand corner, you can see KPI palette. And now you can have a very, very simple red, amber, green view to this process. And this is really critical for being able to see things fast, right? We all know we respond to colors. So having the capability of seeing, okay, where should we focus? And it's clear we should focus here because not just is it taking a long time, but it's also breaching KPIs. Now, just a couple of things that you can do from this. When you're doing analysis of processes like this, it's all kind of focused around filtering. So, let's say, for example, you were interested in looking at a particular activity or a process flow with it. So let's say you only wanted to focus on those activities that had this. You can click here, click filter, and it will build up a filter of just the view you want to see. So you can see now on the left-hand side, here's some filters that were applied, and it's now just applied the new one. So only show those processes where BO service closure is in it. Maybe then you look at it and you think, well, actually, I'm only really interested when it goes from here to here. Now you can extend these filters. On the top right-hand corner, there is a filter option, and you can create any filter you wish. For example, based on maybe an event attribute, it could be whether you want those cases to be included or excluded, duration elements. You can even scroll down, for example, and choose process flow patterns. So like we want, click the little pipette, only interested when, for example, it goes from here to here. Yes, we're happy with this. And you also have the option here of adding different kind of characteristics, so directly following or only loosely following. We want directly following. And now when we click create, you can see that it creates these filters. And then as you can see on the left-hand side, it's updated this. And now we have just our use cases. Now, what that means is that you have the capability of creating all these different views of being able to view the process that you wanted to. So once you've created that view, you could then sort of target down and say, okay, look, let's have a look at the people that are doing that work. Here we go. We have a breakdown of who is actually doing these activities. Once you've created those filters, you can then go into the filter option and save them as a template. So here you can say create a template, could be analysis 1 as an example, and click add. And now at any point in time, you can go back to this analysis 1 or these different scenarios and quickly get to the views that you want to inside of process mining. Now, what we're just going to delete these for a second because I'm going to show you how they actually prove useful is, we had a couple of good options where maybe you want to compare certain things inside of a process, maybe comparing offices or comparing version numbers in process. And once you've built those filters up, process mining lets you do that very, very easily. You can go to differencing, for example, click the differencing functionality, and then choose those filters you want to compare. So here is one I built earlier, Institute 1, that's bank number 1. Here is one which is bank number 6. Once we're happy that we have those filter sets chosen, we can click visualize, and now you can compare the performance of these two individual running banks, for example. So here we can say, for example, that there are 115,000 done in the main office, 1,500 done in the satellite office. Incredibly, it takes 10 days less to do the work inside of that satellite office, which is quite incredible. And if we scroll down, we can see why. And it's because actually the main office is doing these customer recovery activities. Therefore, it's having a bit more of an impact on this particular process. So it's just a very, very quick way that you could do direct comparisons of the performance of one against another, and you'll see that in a second. Now, just to go back to the model, once you've built these filters, this is the lean approach. If you want to have a BPMN representation of this, very, very easily, click on BPMN and it will build you that BPMN model. Now, we know often it takes a long time to build BPMN models, but here you can see, here is that model built. Now, this model can then be published, and we can publish this model again, either to the IBM ecosystem or to other tools that you have in the environment. But this model can be changed to any way you want it to fit. So if you go back to the model and you can move between these very, very easily, what you could do, for example, is, you remember I showed you this one. Now, what I've actually done is I've turned down the model details in this model. I'm just going to move myself out of the way here. And I've only got 1% of the relations. I could turn this up, for example, and add more relationships in here. And you can see that this process has now got slightly more complicated. But that's just because processes can get complicated. This gives you the ability to tweak it down. Once you're happy with your view, if you go back to the BPMN tag, it will render the model exactly what you see on the model tab. So this gives you the capability to go back to the model, add filtering, change what you want to see, and then at any point in time that you're ready, it will generate this BPM model for you to then use and export into your environment. Now, one of the extension pieces to this is something that we call rules mining. Now, rules mining is not something that's available by many platforms. In fact, I think there's only one other that even comes close to a rules mining capability. And the reason this is important is you can add extra data into the event flow. And that event data could be, for example, we've used it a lot in things like demographic data. So having a process flow come in, but maybe add things like channel, maybe the browser type someone's using, maybe the application type that they're applying for, maybe the credit product, things like this. And you can use process mining to mine the rules. In other words, when there's a condition, what has changed in the data, and it will actually identify what it thinks the rules are and then let you test those. So it's not just a case of understanding that a task flows from task A to task B, but more importantly, why it's flowing from task A to task B. It takes about 45 seconds because it's looking at all that data. And now you'll notice that on the map, now you have these conditions. And we can look at those in the overview. So here's all of the rules that process mining has identified. Yeah. So you can see here, for example, why is it potentially going from pending request reservation to back office requests? You can click on this and have a look at the exact rule that's causing it to flow this way. Now, I'm not going to cover it too much here, but you can also go into the detail of understanding convergence and precision. But that in itself is a separate conversation. But like I say, the rules mining enables you to actually understand why. Now, what I'm just going to do is move back to the model for a second. So we're at this model, and let's say you're viewing this model, and I'm just going to turn down this again so we can see a slightly simpler version of the process. And you're looking at this and thinking, okay, I see BO service closure, but I'm not sure what's actually happening under the background. Now, I'm not going to show you task mining today, but there is an inextricable link between task mining and process mining. And here that happens where if you look at statistics, you can see all the people that are doing this work. And maybe you think, well, actually, okay, maybe we could put a recorder on each of these desktops and record the activity that's being done. Now, the reason that's very, very useful is because once you've done that, you can then take a look at that particular task, take that data in from the recorder, and then look at the next level down. So here we can see task mining, and we can now look at the next level down inside of this process. And here is the task mining results from this particular activity. Now, the reason this is important is not just because this can become the starting point for the bot creation inside of the whole RPA ecosystem, but we've seen a lot of people that are having RPA applied and maybe they didn't get the business case that they expected and they want to do further drill down on understanding why that's the case. And inside of process mining, you can take that data, and I'm just going to quickly show you a little dashboard here. You can do productivity and performance analysis inside of process mining to understand that. So you saw here, for example, in this work, that this particular activity, let's move me back over here, that it actually took 52 hours on the top level. Actually, at the lower level, it's taking approximately 15 hours, but really, there's 7 hours spent doing other options, other tasks, 4 hours spent doing nothing, and only 1 hour spent doing activity on this. And this is really critical because what this is saying is that the business case for RPA in this instance should be 1 hour and 2 minutes, not the original assumed of being 52 hours at the top. So this just gives you that relationship between task mining and process mining and the capability of doing incredibly accurate business cases for RPA inside of process mining. Now, go back to the highest level. What we're going to do now is I'm just going to show you back at this, this top level process, which is here, is once you've actually done all of your different task mining capabilities in here, you can then ask process mining to identify what it thinks might be good candidates for automation. And you can do that through the dashboard. Here we have in the dashboard, here you have some high-level statistics showing average case load time, average arrival rates, etc. If we scroll down, you can see here is this chart that's showing the KPI elements. So in other words, where are we breaching KPI inside of this process? But for all of the tasks that you've done task mining for, process mining can take that and enable you to build a slight calculation, which might be, hey, maybe you're interested in 50% automation. You want to automate just one case variant through that. So here we can see you just want to make one specific bot for a specific path through one of these tasks. Maybe you turn that to 2. You can see actually process mining identifies 2. Network service closure, if we did 2, we get 70%. If we did 1, 50. And then once you're happy with this and you've looked at the calculations and thought, actually, I'm really, really happy. What would happen if I automated this? You can drop into simulation. So if we drop into simulation, this gives you the capability of now looking at what we're calling the digital twin, right? So you've recorded that whole digital twin of your business in a process model. Now you can play with that digital twin. We can see it's already done an estimated saving against this process, but there are many things you can tweak here. For example, if we scroll down to our task, we can see we have BO service closure. Here is that task. We're saying in here in RPA, we're going to automate 50% of it. We'll use a bot that goes from 8 till 8, and we'll use 2 of them. Now, it doesn't have to stop there. What you can actually also say is, well, maybe we should take 2 people out of this activity. In scheduling, as you knew through COVID times, you can even have a calendar which says, well, hey, maybe we say they can only work maybe Monday to Thursday instead of Monday to Friday, or maybe they're not working the weekend anymore. So you can add those calendars in. But you can even go further than this and say, well, what happens if we modify the process even? Because some people put automation in and then they want a little task that is checking that. Well, again, you can do this too within process mining. You can actually look at the process. Here is the process piece that we're interested in. Maybe we want to drop an extra activity on here. So we could put an activity at this point here. What we're going to do is we're going to delete this line. We'll go from here to here, and then we'll go from here to here. And this new activity, we're just going to call it check automation, okay, like this. And then we'll go back to our scenario, yes, and we'll save. And what we've done is we've added this new activity in here now. So if we scroll down, we can see here is BO service closure. Here's our check automation task. We'll say it takes maybe 2 minutes to do, but it takes maybe 15 minutes because maybe there's a little bit of a delay. This is wait time and working time, and this is just working time. And there's one person going to check it. So you can see we've actually modified the process and we've added automation and maybe changed the stuff availability. Let's run a simulation and see what happens. So I'm just going to change this date for the last time we had some data in here to make sure it's all working together. 1st of February. We're going to run 5,000 use cases off and let's see what happens. Click run. Are you sure? Yes. Now what this is doing right now is it's going to do a simulation and enable us to compare in that same diff function I showed you earlier. And this time the filter will be before the change and after the change. And then what that's going to do is it will enable us to see whether or not our change is actually going to benefit. And the reason this is so important is we know the cost of change is very expensive. This gives us the ability to tweak the business model without actually playing with the real business. So in other words, is this going to work? You can see here that actually we've increased the delay significantly in this process by adding that check task in. That might not be a good idea. And we can scroll down and take a look that if we look at the KPI performance, okay, yes, we have significantly reduced the KPI now on this activity, but because we have this new activity in check automation, it's actually extended the time of the process. Maybe that's not a good idea. If we're not happy with this, then it gives us the capability of going back to the scenario, tweaking the scenario, and rerunning the simulation. But what you get is the capability to continue to play with this use case constantly, change the process, have a look what the effect is, change effect before you're happy. Now here is where it gets more interesting. Once you actually simulated data, you can import that simulated data into process mining and do process mining on data for a process that hasn't even executed yet. And that's incredibly powerful of being able to make a physical change to your process and then trying to understand what might that look like in a process mining capacity before you make that change. It's a very, very powerful capability. Let's just import that data for a second, because what I'll then do is just introduce the concept of dashboards and how that works. So now we have the simulated data in here, and just to prove that we have simulated data in here, you remember we can create this filter. Here is our filter up here, and we could actually say exclude exclude as is. So simulated as is. Click create. We created 5,000 simulated cases, remember? And here we'll now have 5,000 cases that we could go off and play with and see what happens. If we scroll down, here's this check automation task, for example, that we added before. So we could go and do all the analysis we wanted to against this process to see what the effect is. Now, process mining is obviously good for identifying opportunity within the business, but it's also good for ongoing analysis of this process. And we do that with dashboarding, and this is the second slide. Once you've done all the analysis, you can then move into building dashboards for the executives, which are up here on the right-hand side under analytics, to give that presentation back. So at any point in time, because it's a role-based capability, any point in time the executives can log in and see, okay, what exactly is happening inside of this automation program, this transformation program? We've done the analysis, we've done some application, we've done some change. What does it look like? This is a process overview, and these dashboards are all linked. So let's say, for example, you want to look at just cases complete. They're all collected. So when you click complete, it actually filters out this whole dashboard and lets you build that up. If we scroll down, once we've got the filter, maybe we're interested in just, for example, a closure type. So you can click closure type. It will give you a breakdown of those closure types, and you can say, okay, I'm just interested in this particular closure type. Click filter, and then it will filter the cases just for that closure type. So you can see it's all very, very interactive in the way that you build these filters up. Now you remember in the analysis phase, we also built up those templates. Those templates are also available here. You can see the 2B, the scenario, these ones that we built. Here, for example, we can see Institute 1. You could click on Institute 1 and just see all those filter templates that you built previously also in the other capability. But like I say, for managing the life going forward, you know we've done some simulation and we've done some analysis and we've actually added some bots. Maybe what you want to look at is how that goes forward. So I know that Yanis alluded to this, but This is a dashboard that shows progressive change. So here we can see a dashboard focusing on the automation that's been applied. And if we scroll down, you can see actually here is the manual activities. Here are those automated activities, and they're simulated. This would also be in real data. And then this gives you the capability of trending out. So for example, what you would expect to see heading right here in this graph is you would expect to see more automatic tasks and less manual tasks. So it's also a great way of giving an overview over what's happening. So again, if you couple dashboarding with process mining gives you the capability to identify opportunity and test that opportunity cheaply before you apply that as a change in the business. And process mining gives you continual monitoring of your business change program to see whether or not you are getting the expected return that you expect. And that is the introduction. Back to you, Yanis.
Sorry. You just actually I expected you to finish in about 5 minutes, so you still had some time ahead. As we are good with the timing, there will be maybe one thing that we can do now, as you're still here. Maybe look at the chat for a couple of questions actually that we had during your presentation. One of the elements was about the BAI integration. Do we have what is the level of BAI integration that we have so far?
That's actually going through App Connect. I think what's probably worth doing is probably getting the latest update. There was a latest release that was released last week. I'm not fully aware of the complete BAI integration yet, but we should send that out afterwards.
Okay. Well, from what I remember, the idea is that we were able to consume actually data coming from BAI automatically. So that was the aim initially. And now, one thing that I'm not yet sure, and that we will have to loop back about, is how far we are also serving and what type of use cases we might be actually serving by serving data back to BAI actually from our engine. That is something that I was just wondering after the question that maybe in that direction, do we have something in mind or not about? But at least BAI for us is obviously a great data lake to start consuming actually the information which lies into it in order to improve the usage of the different components of the Cloud Pak. Some other questions that I was seeing coming up. So using the RPA simulation feature requires you to first do task recording in addition to the event logs. So yeah.
No, it doesn't. So effectively, if you look at what the task miner does, the task miner records what's going on the desktop and it provides data that looks just like process mining logs. So it's really just a two-tiering. Now you can do simulation just with process mining. It doesn't require that. I just showed you a way through into simulation through that dashboard because it just accelerates you in. You can actually, if you noticed, when we looked at the BPMN model, you can actually go straight to simulation from there, just at the process mining level. You don't need task mining to do that.
Right. Okay. Then we had a last one, I think, that Florian just sent before, and Mohammed, if you have one, just please shoot. Do we have an integration between BAW, Case Manager, and process mining so far? I have an element of response on that, but I let you go on.
To be fair, I'm treating it fairly agnostically. When I have done a recent PSU with BAW, I've just taken the log file from BAW and pushed it through straight into process mining through ETL, and that worked perfectly well. And the reason we did it that way was because actually we're merging BAW data often with operational systems. So what tends to happen is there has to be a little bit of ETL done when you pull in the BAW data, merge it with an operational backend system, and you get more rich data. There is, for me, from a purist perspective, this tends to be my general strategy on process mining, right? We all know that 50% of the success of process mining is the data. If you don't have the right data, process mining doesn't give you the return that you need. So making sure you have the data, and it's not about starting with big bang. I would start with an approach that uses a standard ETL capability of pulling the data in from regardless of whether it's IBM ecosystem or not. that way you can grow that ETL capability and draw in more systems without making it too complicated.
Right. Okay, very, very good. Any other maybe? So there was a question from Mohammed. If I have a customer who does not have IBM solutions, can I offer him process mining as a separate solution on top of existing ecosystem? I mean, maybe just before I mean, don't forget one thing, okay? This is an acquisition we've done just a few months ago, probably about a year, something like that ago. Before that, it was totally an independent product, right? So, and the other element that was actually demonstrated and explained several times by Lee is that we are consuming data which are relying on specific standards. So it's any system actually being able to consume or produce these kind of standards is actually fully compatible with what we're doing. And if not, eventually in terms of data source, in any case, you can go and consume data through ETL capabilities. You can go and actually recompute the data in a sense that we will be able to manage it as part of that. So yes, it's definitely an opportunity to go and sell it. And honestly, nowadays, due to the attraction that we have with mining on the market, we get lots of requests specifically for mining, and that helps us eventually articulating the value of the cloud pack. But on the other side, it's really, I mean, we are answering tenders currently for an awful amount of demands specifically on mining only. Okay, and to the logistics of your question, from a sales perspective, there are two ways to sell mining nowadays. That is one of the elements that I want to introduce, and you give me the opportunity for that. First is that the license currently, I mean, so far that we had for serving process mining was only one, and that was the Cloud Pack license. However, because it's based on consumption, you would go and size whatever you need specifically for the product that you want to sell. So as part of the Cloud Pack is a kind of, a token license somehow, a floating license, and you just size whatever you need specifically for process mining then. So that is one element of response. The second one, so therefore the Cloud Pack story is valid as well for the SaaS model as well as for the on-prem. Now for SaaS, if the customer is open to SaaS, we just released in April a new part number specifically for the process mining story on SaaS, and therefore there is an individual part number that you can now make use of in order to position that on the market specifically when customers want only that, or if you think that they might be afraid of going for the full bazunga of Cloud Pack. Voila. Okay, so just for the sake of time, I will get back at the end of the session, if you agree, on the further questions that you might have. We will take back on to what we have as part of resources into this deck, and I will just again try to focus on what I think makes sense. So my goal for the rest of the session is really to, and I will share my screen again. Okay, there we are. If anyone can just confirm that you see something popping up on the screen at some point. Doesn't look good to me, but maybe, yeah, okay. So it should be the case, right? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so back to reality. I just pulled some slides just to position more or less where we stand in terms of comparison with the rest of the products. However, don't forget one thing is that we are with these kind of slides, we're shooting to moving targets, in the sense that every week there are new capabilities being added on our side or on others. Still, one of the elements that you might that I would just want to give you here is some clue on how the analysts are evaluating these kind of products. What can be the kind of dimensions that you need to be ready to sustain in terms of discussion, and again, what could be therefore the kind of positioning that you can make, positioning IBM process mining against the rest of the market. One element before getting there is that what you will witness is that the players that we are playing against onto that market are most of them going from very recently in their history product companies, right? So they were actually a one product company, starting up with maybe capture, maybe for some other ones, starting specifically with RPA or specifically with mining, like Celonis. Now they are all adopting more or less the same strategy as IBM articulated like 5 years ago. So going from products to platforms. However, one of the elements which is pretty funny, and I want really to share with you the experiences that we have in sales with positioning these kind of topics with customers and customers, is whenever they come back and say, yeah, but you know, the cloud pack story is way too big. Okay, I mean, I don't know where to start, etc. Again, it's a menu of the day. Okay, they don't need to roll out all of that. However, they have the ability to. So that is an important element, is that you don't need specifically to roll everything out. You can start with one single capability of the Cloud Pack. You have the ability, therefore, at some point to reuse the same euro into something that might make more sense for you in 6 months from now, in 6 years from now. So the value eventually of that platform and of every euro that you spend into the platform is bigger. Even on the ones, from what I know so far, even from the players which are on the market selling you different components, not yet as a fully embedded platform most of the time, but more through acquisitions that they do here and there, and they try really to spread over and span over the capabilities of what we do with the Cloud Pack. Don't forget that the Cloud Packs are articulated to function all together. Not a requirement, but a possibility, and therefore we have integrations for many of the components to speak to each other. The second element is that we are a floating license throughout the Cloud Packs. Therefore, again, whatever euro I'm using today for something, if I don't need it tomorrow, such as the diagnostics capabilities of mining, I just reuse that for anything else. I don't pay any euro more to IBM for doing so. With the rest of the pack, what you will see is that most of the time, actually, they will sell you different components. But if at some point one of the components is not good enough for the task, you won't get your money back to reuse it for another component. So again, it's a force that we have with the Cloud Pack. It's not a weakness. Okay. Another element that I wanted also to say is that whenever the customer would tell you that it's too complex, the story again is, look at what Celonis, ABI, UiPath are doing nowadays, or Automation Anywhere. They all went from a one product capability in the last few years, where yes, of course, we will, Matej, we will share actually the slides to everyone. The point is, they are all going into that strategy of multiple components, okay? Therefore, we are ahead of the game. We are not the most complex. We are the most achieving so far into that story. So don't be afraid about speaking on the Cloud Pack, even if it's with a one slider, and introducing that as I would say as a menu of the day, because eventually, like at the restaurant, if I don't need to taste every single one of the meals, and I don't need to pay for all of them. I just pay for the ones that I consumed. Okay. Now let's go quickly on this quick comparison. What is more interesting, I would say, is that you will see I mean, some forces, depending on where you are, etc. You will see some forces and weaknesses. Honestly, the only one that we are really addressing as part of the roadmap currently is the fact that currently what we do is that we generate, if you will, the analysis of the bot to be performed. We create even now. I've seen versions that we are building up with skeletons. So actually, we are coming to the level of what Abby and Software AG will be delivering here. But we try now with the efforts and investment that we are doing currently to prepare for the next wave and therefore create the bots automatically. So having a full-fledged, more or less, capability being released. So then the great element through that is that you will no longer have to fight honestly with UiPath or Automation Anywhere on RPA, because eventually there is one thing that nobody can beat is and all the religion wars that we get on the field saying, yeah, but you know, I have already UiPath, or I have already Automation Anywhere, etc., etc., which is fine. Eventually, what we will be seeing in the market will be really some evolution where RPA technologies to survive will have eventually to span into more capabilities on one side and to specialize probably as well to specific topics. So it will be unavoidable, and that is me speaking, okay, as a Jedi of today. But my gut feeling really tells me that eventually it will be extremely difficult for any customer being in an IBM, an IBM customer or not, in the broader sense of what we can serve them or not. And if they are already using one of the specific technologies for RPA, it will be extremely difficult for them to say, I will run with one single one. Why? Because by the end of the year or mid of next one, they will have in-house to move to potentially Windows 11, and Windows 11 is already fueled with the Microsoft latest acquisition on RPA. So how do you want actually to prevent at some point that your users might be using whatever they have on their desktops to roll some automation? And actually it would be good for you if they do. So the thing is, eventually it's not about, do I have one single RPA being spread over, etc. It's really about what serves the best interest of a specific application, a specific population, a specific department, etc., etc. Now, additionally to that, if you build up the bot automatically, even if you have the best technology for RPA, it's difficult to beat the fact that you are generating and therefore getting the benefits of RPA in a single click without having to invest too much in it, right? And that therefore, if it's easy to reproduce, you can just reuse again the recording capability to just generate a new bot, a new version whenever your process is changing, etc. So I would say that eventually the story about, yeah, but I want one single RPA and the best of breed approach that we had in the 90s is probably obsolete by now, and at some point it's really about making sure that what you have in-house serves you the best at the quickest pace, because reactivity is the most important element nowadays. Now this is for these players. I have one also positioning more or less the capabilities and the forces, the key forces of the other big players on the market. But as you can see, some of them will have bot integration, some of them will not. Signavio, who is pretty good into the digital twin as we are, they don't have any plans whatsoever about RPA. So here on that, or RPA integration at least. So the point is, you will see lots of reality being evolving. However, in any moment in time, we will be able to help you fight back on whoever you have to do that. And that allows me to introduce this, which is that I went for you gathering all the battle cards, because that is one of the common topics that everyone is asking me whenever we start engaging with BPs and they understand the value of mining. They just want to go right away on it. You will find competitive battle cards for the players that I told you about, and here are some of them. Now you will get really articulated into details where we are better than the other ones. Okay, so depending on if you spot on an opportunity that the customer might be already speaking to one or the other, you will find your way very quickly here. Every single one of these is a clickable asset. Same thing here. So when you click here, you go to the collection with all of these. When you click here, you go to the specific one that is on the screen. Okay, so that is for the battle cards. Now, okay, I like what you say. I like what I see. How can I get trained? How can I move on? Okay, because at IBM sometimes it might be cumbersome about finding out. So, what I exhort you to do. Like Padawans very quickly after this course today is, of course, making sure that you can get as many techies of your organization being joining the next sessions next week, where we will go really hands-on dirty onto how you can implement by yourself a real life case like Lee demonstrated previously. And here I have the link which is not only serving you for specifically mining, but that is really the IBM training portal. When you click here, you will get right away to it, where you will be able to find, like here I did, IBM process mining, and you will get actually all the different filters being there for you to activate. When you click on badges, you will see right away these badges being there for you to play with. Okay, so you can pass 4 badges currently. We have level 3 badges coming up next. Currently, you will see here level 1, level 2, depending on the kind of profile that you really want to go for. Process mining analyst, data analyst, business analyst. So it's really about I mean, different angles, I would say, on in roles that you will be playing into a common project at the customer. Of course, if you are really there to act as a consultant, I would say with this, I'd rather push you guys or the ones in your organization to go through the different the different badges, because every single one of them will give you different perspective on different steps, I would say, of how to implement the process mining story. So if you have some guys who need really, as part of your team, to specialize onto process mining, they will have to go through the different angles and the different roles. Okay, now. Okay, I got trained. I went through the next week event where I got actually the resources and the skills into demonstrating these kind of capabilities. What can I do next? So here, I'd like to play my own demo. And very often we get back about, yeah, but what is the kind of assets that we are delivering to you guys? And that is a common question coming up to us, is how can I, as a BP, get access to this environment? Do I need to install it, etc., etc.? So you have access through the common tech zone, as we call it, technology zone portal, to several actually demo environments that you can build up and different scenarios that we are delivering through them. So each scenario is delivered with a data set that you will be able to load right away into the environment after provisioning it, and you get also the script, I would say, and the click-through very often as well into slides that you can go in order to replay and prepare somehow for the live demo scale that you can deliver through the live environment. So here, by clicking here, you will get into the portal. Next thing you know, you will click on environments. That will give you access to this box, and here you have reserve. Okay, so when I click on reserve, what I will get is this screen which will pop up, and that will give you the ability to reserve now if it's something that I need in the next few minutes to play at a customer, because out of a sudden it has to actually to make a quick demo on this and that, or I can schedule it because I know that tomorrow at that time I need it. I will get ready for it right now to make sure that it's provisioned in due time. Usually it's just a few minutes. I would say anywhere between 5 and 10, 15 minutes you can get an environment. However, sometimes it might be more, or sometimes you might just fall into some maintenance windows as well. So if I was you, really, I would think of the soonest possible, when you know you will have some demo to be done, and you need our environment, you don't have your own. Make your reservation and schedule it right away in order to make sure that you get it ready whenever you need it. Okay. Voila. Then next step. So by going to the portal, you will see different different assets that you can find onto the tech zone, and that's where I'm making the bridge between some of them are really meant for sellers, I would say, or pre-sales people who don't want to bother right away with a full-fledged environment, but yet they would like to demonstrate the capability. As part of the slides, I told you about the fact that I'm gathering most of what I know of in terms of videos, and I'm putting that into the YouTube channel. Yet the tech zone environment is updating every now and then, and sometimes I might just have every single one of these demos. So here, by clicking onto the tech zone, you will get everything which is populated and updated for you. And how you can what you can see here is that here I have the process mining labs, okay, where, by the way, the banking account closure is one of the labs that you can provision and play for yourself or a demo to customers. So these are really the kind of labs that we are using for training purposes, self-training, as well as for demos. And what you can see here is that this one, the banking account closure one, is pretty interesting because it gives you also the video rendition of it in order to guide you to the pitch actually of what you can or how you should demonstrate that as well. So you have a replay that you can just play for the one that you get the access and the assets from in this link. Okay, voila. Should you have any issues accessing the environment, we also have a specific, I'm putting that here, there is a specific link that you can find and a presentation that we have for troubleshooting. Which gives you step-by-step a guide on how to find back your environment, how to make sure that it's properly functioning, etc., before the demos. That is another guide actually that you couldn't find by yourself easily. So I just thought I will add it up in there to get you ready. Once again, as I said previously, you still have the portal. You click, you get the demos for whatever I can gather. Here it's primarily aiming initially at process mining and RPA, but you will see also end-to-end demos and use cases being broadcasted where mining, RPA, BAW, and data cap as well are all demonstrated into one single stream altogether. Okay, so if you really want a ultimate cloud pack demo, we have one which is also on the deck. By clicking on it, you will be on the channel, and there you can find right away the end-to-end cloud pack demo. Okay. So, how do I prospect and what do I need for prospecting? And I just want to make sure that we're still okay with the timing. Okay, so I gathered a list of common questions that I'm actually raising towards the customers very often, just to try to identify what is the level, I would say, of of maturity that they have. So this, again, it's just my flavor of it. You will find other checklists that you can use as part of the grab and go kit that I will outline just after, and therefore this is a one slider, I would say, that I'm using very often into presenting the RPA and or mining story, just to try to identify with the customer if they thought about a the common kind of elements that we need for us to size somehow the opportunity for, and qualify actually the opportunity for RP or mining. But that gives you also the ability to see if the customer is ready for it or not, if you can anticipate any level of readiness from their side into moving on for a POC, proof of concept, or if it's something that you will probably not see happening anytime soon, right? So voila, that is just one of the assets. Now, where can I, what are the use cases? Where can I actually apply mining and the rest of the story? Obviously, what you realize by now is like RPA or mining are the kind of technologies which are horizontal, that you can play everywhere. That's also the very reason why they are part of the foundation, the automation foundation, into spanning over the 4 cloud packs for automation. And therefore, there is something, I mean, whenever a customer would like to improve the situation on a set of events, which is articulated through a log in a sequential way, mining is a fantastic tool to use in order to surface, as you could see through Lee's demo, to surface right away very visually and explore very visually the data, in fact. So it gives even for data analysts, actually, they love it. And I must say that nowadays we have lots of success with data guys, so people with skills onto the cloud pack for data, because yeah, at the end of the day, mining of course is serving the process story, the BPM, the case management story, but on the other side, it's coming from a BI perspective, right? So what we are doing is really using analytic skills and techniques applied to the business process world. So in that sense, I would exhort you, if you don't have really data analysts as part of your organization, if you want to be part of that train with 50% increase of opportunities year over year until, I mean, for the next 5 years, I would really advise you to either way start spotting some data analysts on the market which are really explicitly focusing on data analysis. That you can join potentially, and we have partners in the data and AI story where they really focus only on that. They wouldn't care less about processes. However, they have the skills to kick off somehow, I would say, the opportunities for you through the ETL phase, where you need actually to gather the data, to transform it, and therefore to serve it to the process mining story. You will, I mean, that is something that you will see as a step 0, as I was articulated previously. Data management, data manipulation is the first foundation before getting any value out of process mining, and therefore you need to have either the skills or partner with someone who has them. Okay. Now, coming back to where it can be applied, everywhere, of course. Now, there are specific processes, though, which can be interesting to look at, which are, I would say, the common ground that any mining company on the market would go and speak of. And procure to pay is one, P2P. Why? Because for us, it's extremely interesting actually to speak about procure to pay, because as you could see, it's a complex process. It's several processes in one, in fact, embedded all together. And that is what we call multi-level processing. It's whenever you have a process which is breaking down into, and blending actually, which is a blend of different sub-processes, which all have an impact on the overall end-to-end story, and where very commonly you would see the different sub-processes crossing different systems as well. Okay, Celonis, who is probably the one that you will be meeting the most on the market, are really not great at articulating that and being able to demonstrate, I would say, the P2P process, or Uber process somehow. Why? Because they don't have that ability. It was not meant initially in their genetics. The product that we propose to you today was built with that in mind, and therefore we have the ability with IBM Process Mining to get the full end-to-end vision of a process, as well as drilling down into the sub-processes. With the other players on the market, very often what you will have to do by yourself is actually break down the over process into sub-processes, analyzing them one after the other, and actually building up a story in terms of analysis and report at the end for bridging the reality of all these processes together. But that will be something that you will have to figure out for yourself. Here we have the ability in one single capsule to embed all together, to analyze all together, and to drill down. Okay. Obviously, it's also extremely interesting. Why? Because we have the different components that you would need in order to go from the diagnosis to the cure. So it opens the door for you into discussions with the customer about content management, RPA, in terms of cognitive capture as well, etc. So here I would say again, this one is probably the one that you will be speaking of right away whenever you speak to financial people as well. Why? Because very commonly they manage also the budget, so it's good to be good with them and prove the efficiency of this approach and the return on investment of this approach to a financial director is always a great door opener to spread over into the rest of the organization. Now, KYC, we are in a world where most of the interactions for the last 2.5 years happened online. Okay, therefore, streamlining processes, making them easy, making them favorable to your business and to the interaction with the customers and the customers interacting with you is extremely important for any organization nowadays, and that has nothing to do with if you are a commercial company or not. Hospitals had the same issues actually to face. They had peaks, they had changes in behaviors, they had actually to become more digital extremely fast. However, they were still, and they are still, into a situation where they need to improve actually from ground up and review the processes, right? So patching is just as good as how far you can still patch. At some point, you really need to look down into the root cause of your problems and how to improve the situation into a digital world. So in that world, know your customer is extremely important. Identifying the elements of break of the relationship at some point or break into the transactional model that you start with the customer is exactly what process mining will be able to identify for you. In a regulated world, am I doing what I need to do to be compliant with any regulation or operational policy that I have internally? Again, it's one of the views that we are providing to you. So you can go and serve any organization with a KYC kind of approach. Order to cash, ensuring that you get your money in due time, meter to cash, etc. That is the common kind of opportunities that you will see. Meter to cash, of course, with smart metering is something that is extremely important for energy, utilities, telcos, etc. Now, for the rest of the world, that translates into order to cash, and therefore, again, you will need mining, capture very commonly, RPA as a solution in the back. Content, obviously, because you need to manage all that. Again, content might not be from us, RPA might not be from us, still it puts you as a BP into, again, climbing into the food chain and articulating a strategic vision with the customer, no matter what the components are underneath. If it's IBM, we'll be more than happy. If it serves you into building up more BAW or FileNet business or IBM RPA, great. But if it's not the case, still, by going and analyzing these processes gives you the ability to go from a player which is specialized very often into a set of technologies, who is a good implementer, integrator of these technologies, into a higher level of discussion with the owners of the processes. And we all know the complexity that it takes to IBM as the rest of the world to engage or to swap, I would say, getting out of the discussions with ITers and moving up, climbing the food chain at the customer in terms of engaging the businesses. Process mining is the greatest door opener for you to go and speak to businesses. Okay, now in terms of use cases, and I will have to wrap that down progressively. So if you look at the ones that we just spoke about, which are common use cases again, You will see here very briefly who are the kind of personas that you will go and speak to. We will be more than happy again if you at some point need some guidance and support on pre-sales for the first few iterations. Don't forget that you have local experts on your markets that you can pull in, and actually we have a set of European and EMEA based people who can also be leveraged to support you whenever you need that. So don't be shy again, go and speak about it, and whenever you think you need to plan any conversation with the customer and you want us in, that's exactly what myself and my peers are paid for. It's really about supporting you on the market, either physically, either remotely, and play with you with the cap and your logo on it of your company in order to go and articulate that to the customers. Okay, so that is also common. Sorry for that. That is also a common question which comes very often, and that is applicable to a project as it is for an MVP. The ones of you not being familiar with the term MVP stands for minimal viable product. That means that in an agile world, we will go with you in a co-creation kind of approach towards the customer. Of course, the budget in the back needs to be somehow assessed, and the appetite from the customer in terms of readiness for signature at some point should be evaluated as well. But we are ready to invest with free of charge resources into supporting you at the customer, doing customized kind of POCs, I would say, where the goal is that we don't do that, and that is for me the big difference between POC and MVP. POC, you give me your 500 pages as part of an RFP, I go off, I pull Indian fellows or here and there, and we work day and night and we deliver something to you. You have no idea if we used black magic, voodoo, etc., to produce it. You have no idea of how complex it was and how much we require development to deliver that to you. But you see a nice or not result at the end, and you try to judge based on the result. Of course, the fact that we delivered something doesn't mean that we deliver the guys who delivered it. Okay, so very often the customers do realize after buying that the story was nice in demo, but eventually it's more complex then. So that's the very reason why we took that approach about a couple of years back, pushing more and more into MVPs, because the stats are showing that in most of the cases when we do an MVP, the customer buys at the end. Why? Because we build the intimacy by doing that in co-creation. We deliver the project with them, okay, and with you, of course. That serves you as BPs as a non-prem or on-the-task kind of training, because we will do that all together. You will be blending your people. You are owning actually it, and we come with some expertise to support you in it. But eventually, at the end of it, the customer knows exactly how it was implemented, how to use it, what are the capabilities of the tool, and therefore what the return on investment projections might be of such a tool. Okay, so here again, I will not go through every single one of these. More than happy offline to discuss with you on the different phases. But the thing is, just know that because it's something that in every single RFP they ask us to come with a plan. That is something that usually takes up to, I would say, anywhere between 6 weeks and 3 months, usually depending on the readiness of the data, the complexity of the process, etc., etc. Okay, so in about 6 weeks, and a valid part of that, a valid chunk of that is about identifying with the customer the process, as well as identifying the data sources and making it clear for everyone on who needs to deliver what in terms of data and how to deliver it. So we work with their data specialists to pull the right data, etc. So data preparation, if you will, is probably one of the key elements here, which takes anywhere between a third probably of the whole experience. And over the next 4 weeks elapse, if we take 2 weeks for that, we will be able to demonstrate the real-life use case of a specific process with process mining. Okay. Now, yes. that is, while process mining is part of our portfolio for more than a year now, whenever we speak to with the BPs, very commonly, I mean, first they are with COVID again, they are asked all to perform lots and lots of projects already. So the pipe is pretty big into the common use cases that you serve already. Still, as I said previously, that hopefully will help you building up more business for BPM, for RPA, etc. So it's a great enabler. You should really look at this as an accelerator as well onto the common business that you do, because doing again any new project based on interviews and post-its on the wall is probably not, I mean, in the long run won't be economically viable. Just think that your customers in the next 3 years will make, for most of them, a choice, for the big companies at least, will make a choice of technology for mining. Once this is done, they will no longer expect actually you to sit with their guys in order to build up the story, etc. So the quicker you can jump onto yourself proposing these kind of services, the quicker you can use them for yourself to accelerate the BPM and the full digital range of projects that you can serve, the better it will be for you. So, a couple of elements here. Here it's first, mining is not a different story. Okay, mining is just on top of what you are doing currently. So I just want to reemphasize, it's just a different way to deliver what you were delivering already. Analysis of processes, the BPMN story, identifying pitfalls, discussing with the customers about improvements, all that is part of what you do whenever you start speaking about any of the components, I would say, of the Cloud Pak for Business Automation. It's just an accelerator on that. Now, the other element is that it serves you as a bridge to customers who might not have the Cloud Pak for Business Automation, but might have other Cloud Paks. So the Cloud Pak for Data. Why? Because the Cloud Pak for Data will deliver to your customer the tools that you need for step 0, for the data preparation. Okay, so they have that, fantastic. That means that you can start speaking about analytics. You can start speaking and building the bridge between the analytics capabilities that they have and the process, therefore, for the businesses which lie beneath these processes. So that is for the Cloud Pak for Data. Cloud Pak for Integration, that is a great tool as well to spot and identify a sequence of integrations and dependencies with different systems. Therefore, pulling the story of how do I accelerate actually these integrations, either with RPA in low code, either in a combination with RPA and App Connect potentially. So any customer with App Connect nowadays might be benefiting a big deal with of process mining. So and what's on AI Ops, of course, because very often ITIL, the way that it was articulated was all about, and all these platforms actually for monitoring environments were aimed at streamlining scenarios, therefore trying to find one single resolution, to multiple problems. And therefore, yeah, please reboot the system is a common joke, actually, but that is really expressing somehow what the ITIL philosophy is about, is without having to analyze onto multiple details on multiple kind of occurrences and scenarios, I just try to find a limited set of resolution paths. But the problem is that by not going into the details, these requirements for reboots and start and stop of environments, etc., might be bigger and bigger. And even though the What's on AI Ops story will help you identify lots of elements, still RPA might be extremely interesting into complex scenarios of resolutions whenever I need to go through a combination of systems to put the system back live, but also to spot and identify the issues that might cause actually eventually at the end of the cascade the system to go down, is something that we can identify and spot by analyzing logs of the systems as well with process mining. So here we are not substituting, I would say, to What's on AI Ops. We can come and complement it. So we have several use cases on that that you will see through the slides afterwards. This is also key element is that process mining is really translating into a sales for you of 75 to 100K in about 3 months. Really, I mean, it's again 6 weeks we can demonstrate it. And if the customer understands through the MVP, the POC, the value of it, usually you have yourself done with the business case actually for it. So normally it can really drive business, if not in the same quarter, in anywhere between 3 to 6 months. So it's not like that whenever you need to change the ECM system of a company, or if you want to change the case management or BPM story. Right. Now, we are there to support you. Okay, so just send an email. We will be there to help you out. Again, I mean, I've said it again and again, but one of the things which is interesting, I will not go into the full details here, but for the ones who wouldn't know around the call, we launched a few weeks back a contractual model which will be lasting this year specifically. Okay, so we are not sure that this will be available next year, but right now what we try to do to accelerate the business post-COVID is to help you out with a contract which is called the IULAS. And this IULAS is giving a contract for the customers with the possibility to have inside the same contract mining and RPA altogether. So either one of them or both together, for a value of 100K. S stands for subscription. That means that they take a subscription for this year, but they can deploy based on the volume of starting at 100K, and of course that is depending on the size, I would say, of the plan of adoption that they have. So they will have to come up with a plan of adoption and say, okay, here, this year I plan that much, this year I plan that much. Based on that, or this month even, I plan that much. Eventually, the idea is that they will be able to build up a multi-year vision out of that, because we will freeze the costs on the first year of subscription, and we engage as IBM the same way that they would have with any other subscription contract to not increase the value of the contract of more than 10% year over year. Okay, so if you look at the ability to buy, I would say, licenses this year, which cover both RPA and mining, where your plan of adoption is, I would like to have one instance of 3 processes, let's say, for process mining to be analyzed at the same time, and potentially like 2, 3, 4 bots. You will get right away into anywhere close to the 100K. However, with the IULAS, you will have the ability, and we have lots of scenarios actually into the education, and the link is part of the deck. You will have yourself served with the 100K threshold. Based on that, and again, we are not totally religious about that. If the customer budget is 80, please come back and discuss. But the point is, based on that, they can go and deploy as much as they can. Okay, because the contract once signed cannot be changed. And if they eventually over deploy, which is, I would say, a secure kind of way for them to adopt that kind of technology, they know that they will not pay more than 10% year over year for the next foreseeable future to cover, I would say, the over deployment of what they've done. Okay, so I'm not saying that they need to say they will deploy for 100K and go and deploy for $1 million. Definitely not, because if they do that, you don't have lots to sell the next day. However, in terms of securing the customer into the kind of complexity level that we have sometimes when we articulate the model for the Cloud Pack for Business Automation, here it's a vehicle, it's a contractual vehicle for yourself to say, okay, I will make a sale of 100K for licenses, probably 200-300K of services in the next couple of years, and that will be put all together into let's say a vision of over 3 years, where the customer, by investing, will probably get back at least a level of discount anywhere close to 50+ % over the licenses. Okay, so if that is not clear, because I understand that it's quite fast, please come back to us. Again, it's a great tool to use this here to try to go and capture customers. And to my opinion, customers either with a great vision over how to deploy RPA for let's say anywhere between 10 and 20 bots, or if they start up mixing up mining, which is of higher value in terms of euros, and potentially a few bots over here and there. Okay. Now, the rest of the deck, because we are close to the closing of the session, and I still would like to give you the opportunity for some feedback and any question that you might still have for improving this, which serves for us currently as an enablement deck for the sellers. The story is that in the next few slides, what you will see, and I will go very fast on them, is different use cases to hook back onto my customer has already this, and what can I go and speak of. Okay, so I have gathered a few decks for you, which are all assembled all together here, where let's say that they have the Cloud Pack for Business Automation, they are already used to this, and or they have the Cloud Pack for Data. Okay, these are the kind of use case that you will find. Sorry, accounts payable, customer interaction, and therefore KYC, where you can actually leverage the full-fledged capability set of the Cloud Pack for Business Automation, and where you can come and hook the Cloud Pack for the Cloud Pack for Data customers who have a real practice on potentially AI, but at least data. Therefore, they are used to do ETL and stuff like that, to leverage their internal capabilities to serve you the right set of information by going and meeting with their businesses. Okay. Now, we have several use cases being articulated. What is the problem, let's say, for accounts payable when you don't have the Cloud Pack for Business Automation, when you don't have mining, and then how does that translate in terms of a solution set by enabling here as a first step process mining to serve then the pitch for the rest of the stack. And how do I fit all that through this common ground process that everybody has with the different components step by step. Okay, I will not, again, my goal is not to deliver it in details. We are there offline to support you with every single one of these, but I just want you to understand at least what do you get as part of the deck before shutting down the call today. Cloud Pack for integration, same thing, I'll not go through all of them, but we have a great set of demo and explanation on how you can, in fact, have RPA mining and App Connect speaking to each other in order to serve better the customer and accelerating actually integrations. What next? Yes, very important for the next couple of minutes. I don't know how many of you have heard ever of Maximo. Maximo is one of the products, one of the most successful products, I would say, in the range of products of IBM in terms of software. That is one of the leaders on the market about asset management, and asset can be anything, ranging from a screwdriver actually on an assembly chain to any bot on a robot, physical robot into that assembly chain, to an elevator or to any machinery that you might have, any car as part of your carpool, etc. All these assets need to be managed, need to be monitored, need to be evaluated in terms of when is that best to plan for maintenance and all that. Okay, so therefore there are specific systems for this, asset management systems. Maximo is one of them, again, very well used and deployed on the market. And therefore, one of the things that we've done, even though Maximo has good sets of capabilities in terms of analytics, it doesn't have the visuals that we serve with with IBM process mining, and therefore there are some specific use cases where the Maximo fellows came to us and said, okay guys, here we spot this and that opportunity, and we would like actually to see if by combining both together we couldn't have a great deal of business to be built together. So that's what we've done, and we came up with a data connector to Maximo Asset management, which is a script that will go and pull data that even the Maximo people cannot see very commonly into the interfaces most of the time, but which lie beneath. And by analyzing that, or actually gathering that and formatting these data right away for process mining, you can have in no time the benefits of what Lee demonstrated previously. So you can see the data and analyze it, explore it by filtering it extremely easily, in a way that nothing would come close inside the Maximo product itself. So it's a great companion discussion for Maximo, and there is an awful amount of companies actually using Maximo out there. So one of the advice that I would give you at the end of the day in terms of call to action is potentially to come back to your companions at IBM, at the ecosystem team, the people that you speak commonly to, the people who are there to make sure that you are successful with our products, and to discuss with them the opportunity to pull data lists of the Maximo customers out there, because these ones will be probably more than interested into what you have to say. Now, you have a quick briefing on what you have to say, but on top of that, we had an internal session a few weeks back, explaining in details what is the use case. I pulled the full enablement deck as part of this one as well, so you can have everything in it. And I also give you the link here to the replay. So actually, for the ones who didn't attempt, who didn't know actually about that, you can just click on it and you will fall right away into the demo or the explanation from the specialist of the presentation slides coming just after. You will get also here the link to the tech zone, which was used to build up the demo environment and the demo actually that they do at some point. So here you can get actually an environment which is for an oil and gas company. How can they use the Maximo data, and therefore what do they spot in terms of information by doing so, etc. And here you have the seismic resource as well, which help you articulate that story towards the customers. Okay, so again, I will not go through every single one of them, but you will see through the deck, you will see how it is complex and what we can do without process mining, and what can be done right away with process mining, and how easier it is to do that, specifically for these two processes which are common for the customers of Maximo. Okay, voila, more or less, I would say. Yeah, even though I didn't go through every single one of these, in any case, you will get all that at the end of the session today. So you will get the link. And to close, after the slide deck, I also put you here the Process and Mining Grab and Go kit, which is the one which will help you, in fact, prepare your teams into what can be the discussions, the process mining objections, how to sell it, and how to plan a campaign, actually step by step, for IBM process mining. Okay, so we really take your hand here. We give you all the links, and we help you and your sellers building up the pitch. Okay, don't forget again that we don't disappear after these calls, so we are there to support you in any case. Voila. Thank you very much for your attention. We are already just 1 minute over. For the ones who would like still to sacrifice a few minutes more, I'm totally open if you want to chat or to send any questions right now. We can still do it right now. Else, I just wish you a great day, a great Jedi day, I would say, and journey for the next week. And enjoy your lunch. Let me just stop with the recording here and address any questions you might still have in Q&A.